Mass storage. Hold up. How did it switch to that? Give me 1 second. I think I can just do this. Or not. Okay, hold on 1 second, guys. Jesus. Not my day. Oh, okay. I think. Okay, so I think from here on out, I may have to just go wired with a lot of this because, okay, here's the, here's what happened, right? At 4.3% latency. Okay. So I'm dropping packets is what's happening, but it's now at 4%, so it shouldn't be too bad. But that's still relatively bad. So here's what happened. So throughout all these videos that I've made for streaming services and troubleshooting and all that kind of stuff, it's actually been running on Wi-Fi. And I was like, man, this is some dope Wi-Fi that I could have such a strong upload because I'm trying to do like 5,500 kilobits per second, whatever the max is. I was just like, okay, well, kilobits. Oh my god, 5.5 megabits per second or 5,500 kilobits per second. I guess I did say that right. So I was trying to do like the maximum upload, but and on Wi-Fi it was actually working pretty well. But it appeared that I don't know, today for some reason I had like 12% drop frames, and like that's death. That basically, you talk and you may only get like a small percentage of it, or my talking may be out of sync and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool, let me let me try to do a few things. So I used to run wired, but it's actually running from one room to all the way from my living room to this bedroom here, well, office area. And apparently there's a bad coupler or something along those lines, and I was too lazy to try to figure out what was going on. So I had it on Wi-Fi originally. When I put it on wired, it didn't work. And this time, now that the Wi-Fi is gone, I tried to put it back on wired. That didn't work. So I tried to move it back to Wi-Fi and tried a different SSID. I was like, okay, maybe the 5 gigahertz bandwidth is congested. That's my washer. I'll turn it off. I'll close my door in a second. And I was like, okay, maybe my 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi is congested. And let me try the 2.4. So I switched to the 2.4, same thing. And now it was like at 24% drop frames. And see, now it's only like at 3.5%, which really isn't too bad. And I was like, okay, well, okay, let me go ahead and reboot my router. So I rebooted my Wi-Fi. Well, not necessarily my router, my Wi-Fi router. It's not necessarily routing, it's just it's in bridge mode, but my wireless adapter essentially. So I rebooted that guy, and then I tried to connect up. It did the exact same thing. So apparently I'm just dropping frames today. So I was like, okay, well, let me swap it to Ethernet over power, because I knew I had it, but it wasn't very reliable previously. But currently I have it on Ethernet over power right now, and I'm at 3%. I've only dropped 436 frames, which I can live with, and it's not dropping anymore. So I think I'm okay. The number looks to be going down, and it's not too many drop frames, so we'll go ahead and continue. And especially when I switch it, reverse it, so that this me talking isn't, like all the screen. I think that it'll be a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and continue with this. Let me close my door so you guys don't hear my dryer or washer or whatever, and we will get started. All right, man, oh man, the effort that goes into getting all this stuff together. Whew, okay. Do I look horrible? No, I look decent. Old but decent. Okay, cool. Let's do let's do this here. All right, Forum, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AB, and I'm sorry about Wednesday. It was a very busy day, and Friday was also a busy day. But we'll see if we can muster through this and power it off, and have a very good weekend. I think Monday is actually a holiday or something, but by then I should have some interesting stuff planned. Hi, how's everything going for you guys? Hope everybody had a good day at work. This is from Universal Studios Orlando. Well, I guess this is actually SeaWorld, but I need some type of ice because I am just like sweating. Alrighty, let's get to work. Goodness gracious, finally I can get back to this. Alrighty, so let's just go ahead and get started here. Where are we? Okay, cool. This looks new. So let's just go with it. It looks relatively new. I don't look like I've looked at this problem before. Alright, so this is from Nico Conejo. And we'll just go with Nico because I'm sure I probably butchered that last name trying to go Spanish with it. I don't know why. I'm just being silly. Okay, this is from Nico. Some photos on my phone say that they were taken in China. Taken in China? Or you mean like taken in China or like taken? And I have a list of specific skills. I was looking at my Android phone and noticed that a couple of my photos that were taken one day are described as having been taken in a particular part of China. I've never been in China and can only guess that this could be an indication of my phone having some malware despite the scan saying my phone is totally fine. Particular part of China. Taken one day are described. Okay, so I was thinking that he was originally talking about geolocation tagging on photos, and the photos geolocation tagging was saying China, and then I was like, okay, well maybe you're having an issue with your geolocation, and the phone for some reason was thinking that it was in China because maybe you connected to a VPN or a Wi-Fi that was located in China when you took the pictures, is what I was thinking. But you said you've never been to China, and then you said description, like photos. I don't even know if photos even have a description. Like I'm trying to remember, like when I look at photos in like Premiere Pro or Photoshop or Lightroom, I don't remember a description saying China. Okay, well you recognize the photo, so the fact that it's saying China is kind of odd. Here's what I would do personally, because it is something to be a little bit concerned about. You've already run scans on your phone and saying everything is totally fine. If you connect up to VPNs, I would look to that route, because it's a possibility that you may be connecting up to a location that has an IP or internet service provider that's based in China. So that may be a possibility if you do any type of VPN. A lot of times VPN, they may have servers that are located in China, so it's basically going off your public IP address, and it's maybe putting it in that description because that's where you were, because that's what your public IP address said you were, because your geolocation was off for some reason or another. That's actually probably what I'm gonna go with on this one, is that maybe your geolocation was having issues, or you couldn't, in other words, you were roaming, okay, and you may have only had internet connection, but your internet was from a internet service provider that may be based in China. So the IP that you got their server, their internet service provider, their routers was in China, but you may not have known that. You probably had just connected to something. Like for example, if you're like at a bus station or something like that, they may have Wi-Fi, but maybe that provider is actually located in China. They're probably the ones running their firewall or something like that. It may be one of those kind of situations, or because maybe you were roaming, it wasn't able to actually tag it properly, so it just used your public IP address in order to tag the photo. I'm not too concerned about this. However, if you are wanting to be super protective against it, what I would do in this kind of a situation is change all my passwords. That's a good way to go about it, but I wouldn't be too concerned. You know, there's not a whole lot of information here, but it is a possibility that you just, you know, connected to somebody who happen to have a public internet service provider that is based in China, and so because of that, that may be why that it got tagged that way, because maybe your geolocation wasn't working and you were roaming. So if you traveled somewhere, anywhere like Europe, even though you haven't been to China, then it's definitely a possibility because you're a little bit closer at that point. All right, Nico, hope that helps. That's an interesting one, though. That's a pretty cool one. Good start. All right, let's go to the next one. All right. What's up with these phone ones, man? It's your girl Skinny Pen. All right, Miss Skinny writes, virus on phone using public Wi-Fi. Mom got a virus on her phone from using public Wi-Fi after I repeatedly told her it's risky, and if you use it, it never do anything important. What does she do? She connects to public Wi-Fi and uses her web browser to log into her bank account. Now no apps will open on her phone, and Apple customer service says her phone now has a virus. Is her phone completely lost? Will she have to get a new one? Is there anything we can do? Yes, there's a few things that you can do. Apple customer service saying that her phone now has a virus. If she called Apple, then that probably means she probably has Apple Care. I'd take it to them. If you're paying for it, then take it to them. Like, why would you waste your time, right? That's the whole point of Apple, right? So they charge you extra with Apple Care so that they can troubleshoot issues like this. Take it to them. Now, if they say there's a charge, then, bring it back and, ping me or something, and I can assist with that. Oh, speaking of which, let me go ahead and make sure my chat is going. I'm sure it is. I'll worry about it later. So with this kind of a situation here, one, I would say just take it to Apple. But if it has a virus, yes, there are antivirus type software that you can run that will help with that. It's kind of rare. I don't really see too many viruses on Apple, knock on wood. I don't see them as often as I do Android. Android, because their platform is a little bit more open. But if you do have a virus, and that's what Apple support is saying, then I would go ahead and try to download any type of antivirus or malware protection software. So there's a few. It used to be one called AVG back in the day that used to have an app as well, but there's plenty. I would just search for antivirus or malware protection on Apple. So just do a search for it, and whatever comes up that has the highest amount of views, just get that, and then run a scan and see if you can actually take care of it. If not, just take it to the Apple customer service and let them work with it. But yeah, using the public Wi-Fi and checking your bank account, that's a little interesting. Now, of course, using the public Wi-Fi, there is a way that they can get that information because it's the public Wi-Fi, and if they have any type of man in the middle, they can grab that information. So yeah, it's a possibility, and it's a little iffy, but if that's what you have, and that's what they're saying, then that's how I would troubleshoot this particular issue, or just take it to Apple customer service and let them work it. But I mean, if they already told you or willing to tell you that you have a virus on your phone, then obviously you probably have some form of Apple Care. Just take it to Apple. Just take it up to the actual Apple store and let them work the issue. There's no point in you going crazy over nothing when you can just take it to them and let them fix it. Alrighty, Miss Skinny. Hope that helps your mom. And let's go to the next one. Oh, I think I did this one. Yes, I did. Let me go to the next one. Okay, yeah, no, I haven't done this one. 16 they were running. No, I don't think I remember anything. I will eat your hot dogs. Okay, yeah, I don't think I remember this one because that username is something special. Okay, cool. So drop frames are a little high, but I don't think it's hurting anything, so... Oh, I didn't know I was... Okay, I guess I'm going at 60 FPS, so whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just making sure that my drop frames isn't getting too crazy. They're not. Okay, cool. My gaming laptop is not performing how it should be. Oh, that's right. I said I was going to check the chat. Let me cancel. I don't care. I don't care about that. Restream. Test. Or not. What is going on? What is going on? Alrighty, not restream. Let's reopen it again, because apparently it's logged me out. There we go. And enable. And test. Okay. Okay, let's spell test. let's do it right. Okay, cool. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. My chat was tripping. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, so let's move on. This is from I Will Eat Your Hot Dogs. You ain't eat my hot dogs. Oh no. I'm sorry. This is gonna go real bad. I was gonna try to make some kind of corny joke. You see what I did there? The gaming laptop is not performing how it should be. My gaming laptop specs are GTX 1650 mobile, Intel Core i5-10300H, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes SSD. I've always had a problem running games as they should be running. I was playing the remastered version of Spider-Man, which is pretty sweet. He didn't say that. I just added it in. I was actually thinking about getting the Miles Morales because it was on discount on PS5. I was playing the remastered version of Spider-Man the other day, and I was getting around 45 FPS on the lowest graphics. I watched a video about someone else playing the game on their laptop with a 1650 mobile, i5-10200H, and 16 gigs of RAM. They were running the game at 60 FPS on much higher graphics. I remember the same thing happening when I installed Battlefield 2042. Now, okay, Battlefield 2042 is not playing around. Spider-Man, I get you, but Battlefield 2042 will put your laptop to its knees at 8 gigs of RAM. I wasn't expecting it to run very well, but it ran horribly compared to a video I had watched with about same specs. But I think they had 16 gigs of RAM. I need some help. Is it because I only have 8 gigs of RAM, or maybe a cooling issue? I don't know. Anything would be helpful, thanks. Actually, you know, the two things that you thought of are the two things that I would think of as well. I would think about cooling, okay? If you do have people with similar type and similar spec computers. Now, it should be noted that when it comes to the laptop world, similar spec laptops are not made the same, okay? So, and the reason why I say this is because when it comes to discrete graphics, depending on the wattage actually dictates how strong they are. So there can be situations where a 1650 may be stronger than, like in this case here, 2080. Or a 3060 or something like that, or a 3060 may be stronger than a 3080. It really kind of depends on the amount of wattage that's being allocated to discrete GPU. Also, it depends on the cooling, because if it overheats, then it's going to throttle back. So yes, it could be any of these situations, but you can't really, that's the thing about laptops, it's really hard to get a kind of a good bearing on where your specs should be at. However, 8 gigs of RAM does not help, because you're using so much for paging and video memory, and then, well, video memory as in the picture and the displays and stuff like that. But then you're also using your graphics card as well. So yes, I would say it wouldn't hurt to go with RAM, but in this particular situation, it may be cooling, it could be RAM. I would start with RAM because let me think about that. If you can open the back of your laptop, I would start with RAM. 8 gigs isn't great. In this particular situation, because you're kind of wanting to game with it. With a 1650 mobile, I mean, okay, even if you did, the best you're going to get is, like you were saying, 60 FPS with Spider-Man, probably around 30, 35, 40 on Battlefield 2042. I'm just being honest. It's not gonna perform for you. It's not gonna do backflips for you. But you know, you should be able to get it to run with 16 gigs of RAM. I would start there if you're willing to put any kind of money towards it. If you're not willing to put any kind of money towards it, then yeah, I would try to make sure that my laptop is thoroughly cooled, and make sure, or maybe put a fan on it or something like that. What I would kind of do is make sure it's getting as much cooling as humanly possible, and see if that helps. That will kind of give you an idea if cooling really is an issue, right? If it's overheating or something along those lines. But yeah, 8 gigs of RAM, it's not great in this kind of a situation, because we're talking about like a gaming situation. Of course, the games utilize the graphics card, but when it comes to mobile, it's a possibility that some of it is being on the RAM as well. So yeah, I would definitely say in this particular situation, and you can check it, right? You can check your RAM whenever you're running the game. Just run it, like you only have one monitor. If you're just using your laptop, just run the game in like a windowed screen, and then on the side, just make sure you have like CPU-Z or something up, and just take a look at your CPU and your memory whenever you're playing the game, and just kind of go from there. Or core temp, and look at your temperatures, and just go from there. Alrighty, so hope that helps, Mr. Hot Dog. Alright, so this is from Pure Pirate 4862. Mr. Pirate writes, Jack Sparrow, PC Ethernet connection very slow. I built a computer last week and everything is working just fine except for the internet. I have an Ethernet connection and my router is right next to my PC. I also have a Wi-Fi dongle that came with my Asus B550F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. My speed test on the computer reads 40 to 50 megabits per second on average, but downloading games, I'm not seeing anything over 6 megabits per second. Nothing else is connected to the router except my computer. Very frustrating. Please help. Oh, wow, I did that in one take. I'm so proud of myself. Even with my phone going crazy on me. Let me make sure nothing blew up. I don't think anything blew up. No, it's Instagram. Wow. Okay, so let me read this slowly and actually understand what he's asking, because when I read it in that voice, I can't actually learn. Okay, let's see. I built a computer last week and everything is working fine except for the internet. I have an Ethernet connection and my router is right next to my PC. Okay. I also have a Wi-Fi dongle that came with my Asus B550. Got it. My speed test on the computer reads 40 to 50 megabits per second on average, but downloading games, I'm not seeing anything over 6 megabits per second. Well, that's okay, that depends. That depends on what game you're at, where you're downloading from. If we're talking about Steam, if we're talking about Epic, if we're talking about WoW, Blizzard, then it just depends. Nothing else is connected to the router except my computer. Very frustrating. Please help. Yeah, it really, in this kind of a situation here, and I see you have no comments, so hopefully this will help. In this kind of a situation, it's hard to get a good bearing on whether or not your speed is the one that's causing the issue, or the location where you're trying to download from is causing an issue. A lot of times, you may only be seeing a low download speed because the locations that you're downloading from are throttling you. Because maybe they have so many different people connecting at the same time, they will only let you get so high. Now, if you're saying that it's Steam, okay, and Steam is the reason, and Steam is the guy that is having issues or kind of slow downloading, well, that's a little interesting, right? Because if that's the case, then maybe Steam is being blocked or something like that. We'll try to make sure that Steam is being allowed through whatever firewall settings you have, and make sure that there's nothing that's slowing it down. Okay, that could be antivirus, firewall, things of that nature, things that are blocking ports on Steam. Now, if it's like a game that you're downloading online, it's kind of hard to say what you're referring to. I'm guessing Steam. So I'll just leave it at Steam. I mean, okay, let's think about it. Okay, so let's say it's WoW and you're downloading Overwatch, or it's WoW and you're downloading AAA type games. So let's say it's something like that, and you're downloading those type of games, and you're only getting 6 megabits per second. Well, that is extremely low. You could try to reboot your router and see exactly what happens with that. Now, your speed test only showing 40 or 50 megabits per second may not tell you the whole story, because really it kind of depends on what time you're actually running it at. For example, if you ran your speed test at 4 a.m. and it came back at 40 or 50 megabits per second, but you play games at 3 p.m. when you get off work, well, 3 p.m. is a very highly congested time, and it's a possibility that your internet speed has decreased. So going by the speed test and thinking that that is your speed 24/7 is not ideal. Okay, you may have to call your internet service provider during the time you have the issue and see. Now, you never mentioned whether or not you do your internet speed test when you're having issues. What I would do here is whenever I'm having an issue, I would do a speed test to see what my speed is at that particular moment in time, because speed typically happens to vary. For example, like I have a gig, and every now and then I'm at 200 megabits per second, and that's actually quite frustrating, but usually I'm somewhere between like 400 and 800. Really kind of depends on the situation. So I've never seen a gig, but it varies, right? It's a range. That's what it means to be residential internet, right? So they can't really guarantee you a minimum speed, and a maximum speed is just kind of whatever you get. Now you can increase it to get more bandwidth, which actually gives you more lines to the location, but in this particular situation here, I would just run a speed test whenever you see you are having the issue or you're having the slowness, and see what's going on, and see maybe if it's telling you the right thing. Now, you may be downloading from a location that's closer than the location of the server you're downloading from on the game. Like, for example, let's say Steam, oh no, sorry, let's say not Steam. Let's say for Battle.net. That's the every time I think of Battle.net, I think of Blizzard. So I think the app is called Blizzard when it's actually called Battle.net. So let's say Battle.net. So let's say you're connecting through Amsterdam or something like that, and your speed test. Oh no, actually this isn't going to be great because I don't know European or just anything East because I'm a filthy United States Texan. So okay. Let's say you live in Texas, and let's say your internet service provider and your speed tests are in Oklahoma, which is right next to Texas, right? So it's giving you the best speed humanly possible because that's the closest server. However, whenever you connect to Battle.net, it's in Alaska. So your speed is going to be slower because you're going through a further distance, right? There's more hops. So because of that, there is going to be a degradation of your speed. So you have to take that into consideration. It's a possibility that the servers that you're connecting to are further than the server that you're testing with on the speed test. So there's a couple of different ways to look at it. One, throughout the day, it's a possibility that your internet speed varies. And two, depending on how far the location is, it can be different than how close the speed test is. So I think your data may be off by a particular variable. I'm not sure what that variable is going to be here, but it's a possibility. And if that's the case, then yeah. But of course, you can also call your internet service provider if your speed is low and see what they say. As long as you're connected directly up, I don't think they'll gripe at you too much. Alrighty, that's a good one. That was a good one, Pirate. I appreciate that. That was great. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. So this is from Fuzzy Collection. Fuzzy Collection writes, apartment is mandating Google Fiber Jack installation tomorrow. Will they have to disconnect my router for the installation? Yes. Well, maybe not. Maybe they can just do it directly from the wall and then just say that it's working, and then you can do that. But a lot of times when these internet service providers come in, they remove the previous one. I will probably switch over to Google Fiber once it's available, but tomorrow they are just installing the jack in my apartment. It must be nice. My concern is that I work from home and have a very important meeting tomorrow. Will the Google Fiber Jack installation interrupt my internet access and possibly interfere with my ability to attend this meeting? Here's what I would do. Okay, if you have a headset on, when the person that comes in there, because they have to do a wall drop or a line drop down to the jack, right? So there's a couple different ways you can do it. One, you can just run the line, and create a new line, and two, you can just tape it to the currently existing line and drag it through and then remove it, and now you have the line where you need it to go. So there's two different ways to go about it. When they get there, you may have to tell them, hey, here's the situation. I cannot lose internet. Okay, so I know that you may have to create a new jack because of it, but can you go ahead and do that for me? Can you create another jack next to it and have that be Google Fiber? And if I choose to use the other one, I can. Now, if they say no because you're in an apartment, then there's absolutely nothing you can do because it's an apartment. Now, what they could do is if they were going, well, no, because they would have to remove the line in order to pull it through. Yeah, no. I don't think you have any leg to stand on because it's an apartment. And so I would just ask and see if they can create a new outlet, but I doubt they're gonna deviate for one person. So yeah, in this particular situation here, I would say do the meeting from your phone is what I would do in this particular situation, because I don't think there's going to be anything stopping you, because you said you have an important meeting. More than likely you can do it from your phone too. If it's like if it's WebEx, if it's what was it, those other ones, GoToMeeting, Zoom, things of that nature, all of them can be ran from your phone. So phone, iPad, tablet, whatever. Obviously, if you are on meetings, you more than likely have a phone. So in this particular situation here, I would do the meeting from my phone with some like AirPods or earbuds or whatever you're using for your computer, you should be able to use for your phone, and do the meeting from your phone. That way, even though it may kind of be choppy a little bit while they're taking care of the internet, at least you'll still have connectivity. Or go somewhere else. Do the meeting from like Starbucks or something. I mean, you're getting Google Fiber, so okay. I said Starbucks because he said Google Fiber. If he didn't say Google Fiber, I wouldn't have said Starbucks, right? Because I would never say Starbucks if the person is talking about, you know, hooking things up to like a window, right? So, but because he said Google Fiber, he's obviously in an affluent area, because non-affluent areas don't have Google Fiber. Hell, I don't have Google Fiber. So because of that, it's safe to say that this man has a Starbucks near him. So more than likely, in his particular situation, if he can't use his phone, I would just go to like a Starbucks and do it from there. Also, it's also safe to assume that he has a laptop, because he's talking about work. So generally it is very, very, very rare that they will give you a laptop for work in the technical field or any type of field that isn't like radiology, where you actually need a desktop. Now, of course, even radiologists have laptops, but typically, unless you need the graphics horsepower for what you do, like CAD rendering, stuff like that, they generally give you laptops. And even if you have CAD rendering and stuff like that, they still give you laptops because you're not the one doing the rendering. They're going to send that information to a server, and that guy is going to be the one doing the rendering. So it's not going to be you anyway. You're just going to be the one editing the software from the rendering server. So overall, it is a high probability that he has a laptop. Go to Starbucks or use your phone, either or. But I don't know if you're going to be able to fight them on this one. But you can ask. You can ask. If they say no, they say no. There's nothing you can do really here because you don't own the property. Alrighty, Fuzzy. Hope that helps your collection. See what I did there? Bars, son, bars. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next. That's what they say, right? They say bars? Okay, cool. I'm just making sure. All right, no, this is going to be a long one. Okay, cool. All right, so this is from Ro. All right, we'll just go with Ro. Ro writes, AMD RX 5500 XT, 8 gigs of GPU, hard crashes after rollback driver version for Fortnite issue. Wow, this Radeon issue with Fortnite has been, we've had, what, like 3 issues on this? Brief info on specs. RX 5500 XT, 8 gigs of RAM, video RAM, driver version 2.22.2, CPU Ryzen 7 3700X, 8 cores, 16 threads, great CPU. GPU hard crashes after rollback driver version for Fortnite issue. I was originally on the most recent version of AMD Adrenalin when I began having issues with Fortnite and Final Fantasy XIV. These issues were hard crashes that forced my PC to restart. It only happened once with Final Fantasy XIV, however, this became a trend with Fortnite. Recently, I downgraded my drivers to 22.5.2 to 22.2.2, and I was met with a driver compatibility message below. And I'm going to scroll down. I believe, below? Oh, he has a picture. Okay, we'll just go that route. Okay. Please, warning, known issues with graphics driver. Please install version of the AMD graphics driver has known issues. Please install either the latest or the recommended driver version. Okay, so they went right back to 22.2.2. All right, fair enough. And then, what's this one say? Oh, good lord. Okay, cool. We'll get to that when we get to it. Okay. I believe that the issue was resolved, however, upon playing a few games of Fortnite, it suffered a hard GPU crash in which I had to turn off my computer by the power button, image below the screen. Any particular reason this would be happening? I run far more intensive games on my rig, such as Battlefield 5, regularly, and I've never had this happen. It only happens with Fortnite and once with FF14. Well, this is... I don't know if 22.2.2 is the most recent right now. This was 50 minutes ago, so I guess, okay. Maybe this is the most recent. Let me make sure that I am in focus. What is going on? Okay, there we go. So in this particular situation, I'm trying to think of what version I was on. Only with Fortnite and Final Fantasy XIV. I have not checked Final Fantasy XIV in some time. But the hard crashes, I wonder if there is any type of a time limit. So for example, when you had 22.2.2, 22.2.2, right? You know, that's kind of interesting. He said he downgraded it, but he said he went from downgraded to 22.5.2. Oh, okay. He was on 22.5.2. Okay, that's what. Okay. So he was originally on 22.5.2. I'm wondering. Wait, his picture said recommended is 22.2.2. Install was 22.5.1. He recommended 22.2.2. So when he downgraded, everything was good, but he still had a crash. Okay, so first thing, there may be a version in between 22.2.2 and 22.5.1. First off, okay, I would try that. Okay, so that would probably be the first thing I would try. I would try to see if there's any versions between 22.2.2 and 22.5.1. And it could actually help with this particular issue. I know that 22.5.1 is probably the most recency. In fact, this message is only 50 minutes ago. So it's a possibility that that is the most recent version. So there should be a version in between it or some type of a beta version that you may be able to go to see if that will resolve your issue. Now, the crashes. I wonder if there's any type of a time with this. Like, for example, is it possible that whenever you were on 22.5.1, it crashed sooner than 22.2.2? Okay, because if it did, then that means you may be going down the right path. Okay, and that maybe you're just Radeon drivers kind of are a little bit more iffy. Like, for example, in all the we've had probably, I don't know, 300 issues, and we've had more Radeon issues than NVIDIA issues in this particular situation. And the Radeon issues seem to be a little bit more harder and cause harder GPU crashes. So in this case here, it's not surprising. So what I would say with this one here, I would personally uninstall all my drivers. So basically run a DDU, which is display driver uninstaller, uninstall everything, and install a version between 22.2.2 and 22.5.1. Okay, if I can find something, then I would. Just whatever's in between those two versions, right? Because you know the minimum for Fortnite was 22.2.2 because that's what it told you, and you know that Final Fantasy crashes a little bit later on it. So I would go somewhere between that version and see if that resolves your issue. Okay, also, I would recommend starting out with lower settings and see if that makes a difference as well. Okay, so basically, I know you probably run because it's now, and I can say this right because he has a 5500 XT, so more than likely he's running at pretty high settings, medium at least, right? So I would say in this particular situation, I would start testing at low and see if you have any issues. And also introduce that variable to it, right? So if you have it at low, does everything play just fine up until 2 hours of playtime, and then it crashes, or 4 hours of playtime, then it crashes, versus being on medium and it crashes an hour of playtime? That kind of a situation. So I would bring resolution into it. Now, of course, there is a far and away difference between playing Fortnite, which is a shooter with higher frame rate, and Final Fantasy, a MMORPG that can run on 60. So there is a difference there, right? Because one is quick twitch and the other one's not. So more than likely you probably have, well, okay, it's a 5800 XT. So more than likely, the Final Fantasy game will probably respond a little bit better. So for example, if I put it on low, it'll probably last the entire playthrough, whereas Fortnite may still give you issues. But in this particular situation here, that's what I would do. I would basically lower the graphic settings, run display driver uninstaller, wipe everything, install a version between 22.2.2 and 22.5.1 and see if that works, as well as lower the resolution to see if it helps, and then just take it from there. By then, another version will be out that you can upgrade to. Alright, Ro, hope that helps, man. Let me remove these pictures here, otherwise it's just going to confuse me. Alright. Ooh, that's long. Okay, let me... Oh, okay, this chair is not being very... Oh, God! It's not being very friendly. Okay, there we go. Let me make sure I am in focus. I am cool. Man, it's really like focusing on that background. I need to change it up. I think I need to lower it one more. Every time that I sit down, I'm at a different length. And so whenever I turn my camera on, it has to reset, but whatever. All right, so this is going to be from Minute Lychee. Okay, so we'll just say Minute. Minute writes, is factory resetting my laptop even gonna fix it? I'm gonna explain what's wrong with my laptop. Okay. In case factory resetting, it won't even solve my problem, just in case it doesn't solve my problem. Headed to college soon, and I like to get my laptop running like it used to. It's really slow right now. Barely had it for a year. Originally, I used this laptop for video editing in school. I had Adobe software on it. Despite the low specs on the laptop, it ran okay. I factory reset the laptop a bit ago and just started using it for watching streaming services since I have a PC now. I only reset it once. These weird command prompts kept closing out everything I had open. I thought I had a virus, so I just reset it. After resetting it, it just got worse. It takes whole minutes to load web pages sometimes. If I don't restart it once a day, it won't work at all. Everything lags. I'll turn the volume up or something and it won't actually change till minutes later. Also, for some reason, scroll down here. Also, for some reason, these black boxes with command prompts are still popping up. They'll force close everything I have open. The boxes close before I can see what they say. I don't think this is some weird virus. I do not watch prawn on the laptop, lol, and I've never connected it to public Wi-Fi or downloaded something from a weird website. So no clue what the black box is about. I think I've been pretty safe on this laptop. Last time I reset the laptop, it was honestly slower after the fact, so I'm thinking I maybe didn't do it right. It seemed pretty self-explanatory. Does someone have a guide for resetting an HP Windows laptop? HP Windows 11 laptop? Or do I need to take this place to a professional at this point? Any clue what weird command thing is? It's just a black box with like code in it. It will pop up for a half a second and then everything just closes. Okay. So there are situations where some programs can start running black boxes, but a black box that closes everything is a bit different. He said it's a Windows 11 laptop too, which means that it's relatively new. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Everything lags. I'll turn the volume up or something and it won't actually change till minutes later. Okay. So your computer is just completely laggy. And in this kind of a situation here, what I would do personally is I will install Malwarebytes and just run that free and let it scan your computer and see if there's any issues. Okay, it sounds like you may have some issues with registry or something like that. Now you keep saying resetting, and when you said reset the first time, I was thinking that you meant that you wiped it, which means that you installed a new version of Windows. But resetting may just mean that he may have gone to the Windows settings because it's Windows 11 and hit reset this PC. Now reset this PC, you have an option of wiping it and keeping the information, or wiping it and keeping the information, or wiping it and erasing the information. He may be wiping it and keeping the information, which explains why he's still having problems. He hasn't really wiped it. That's what I'm thinking. So for your situation here, it sounds like you're okay with wiping it, so it's okay to suggest it, okay? I don't like when engineers recommend the worst case scenario, right? So let's say there's 10 options. They choose the 10th one. You see what I'm saying? Instead of doing all the things from 1 to 9 in order to get to 10, they just go to 10. So for example, in this kind of a situation here, reinstall Windows would be the way you would try to go about this. Or instead of reset and keeps your settings, your files and stuff like that, reset it and erase it, right? And put it on an external drive, your files that you really want. But I wouldn't even do that. I would just straight wipe it because you just said you already have a desktop at this point. So in this particular situation here, though, it's okay to say that because he was trying to do it anyway. So it's okay to tell him to go ahead and just straight up wipe it. Now, if he wants to work it, he can install Malwarebytes and let it scan. I'm guessing you may have something going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that you went to a bad site. It just means that at some point in time, something corrupted your PC. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad site. It can be email, it can be spam, it can be anything. So it's not like anybody's trying to cast any dispersions on you. It's just that it can happen. Okay, you could be playing a game and think everything is cool, and then a pop-up shows up and you click it, trying to click a box to do another spin, and that box pops up and you click it by accident, and all of a sudden everything goes to crap. So it's a possibility that you may not have realized it, but in this particular situation, I would just install Malwarebytes and then kind of go from there, or reset and wipe everything. Okay, you can reset and wipe everything, which would be great because it'll keep kind of like the Windows key, if I remember correctly. Or you can just do a straight up wipe. Either one is okay in this particular situation, but that's how I would troubleshoot this issue. I would just do a straight wipe. Alrighty, hope that helps, Mr. Minute. Where are we at on time? Okay, so time isn't bad. We'll do a couple more. Getting a little tired. I don't know. It's really hard to do these because you're thinking like on epic levels and it keeps changing. You know, and trying not to lead somebody down the wrong path and all that kind of jazz. But we'll get there. All right, so this is from OK Nobody. I love that movie. Well, I don't love it. I like it a lot. Nobody. I think the movie is literally called Nobody. But turning off PC slows internet connection for roommate. What? Turning off PC slows internet connection for roommate. Hello, fellas. What's up, homie? Turning off my PC slows the internet connection for my roommate. What the F? If I unplug the turned off PC from the router, the speed goes back to normal. If I unplug the turned off PC, he thinks it's some abnormal electric charges causing this problem. Thanks. What? Okay. Let's think about it, right? This is like some hub type stuff. Turning off my PC slows the internet connection for my roommate. If I unplug the turned off PC from the router, the speed goes back to normal. Bro, what kind of router you have? It sounds like your ports are hub related instead of switch related. In which case it's giving priority to the first port. So switch it. If you switch it and now he's the one in control, then it may be a possibility that you have an older router. You may have a hub instead of a switch, which is highly unlikely in 2022. Now, if your router is from like 6 years ago and you've always just kind of used the same router because, you know, it's not broken, so why bother? Then, okay, I got you. But you would need a new router. But it sounds like it's giving priority to the first port. Swap them. If you swap it and now he is the one in control and you have the slower internet speeds, then there may be a possibility that you is living on that hub life where it kind of has priority and it has collision detection and collision avoidance, and because of that, it may be slowing him down because it's dropping packets whenever you're doing something and he's not, and it's sending traffic. Well, okay, the fact that it's off and it's giving you a problem is really weird. That is really, really weird because at that particular point in time, you're not sending any packets. So even if it was a hub, the hub will be fine because he's the only one connected to it. So now you did say internet connection for roommate. If I unplug, he doesn't mention if there's other things that are on the network. So that is a possibility. I don't know if it's an electric charge unless it was Ethernet over power. Now, if you both have Ethernet over power adapters, then it's a possibility that may be the case, right? Because Ethernet power adapters have a higher probability of the other port being a hub instead of a switch, depending on how much you paid for it. So outside of it being an Ethernet over power adapter, in this particular situation, I'd say switch the ports. If you're wired and he's wired, swap them. And if he has the problem, if he is good and you have the problem now, then I would suggest you may have to reboot your router, or you may have to replace it because it may be an older one, or it's giving some type of priority to the first port and not the second port. So you may be able to go into the settings and change that. They do have. Wow, Anthony, how do you forget this? It's literally a setting on every freaking firewall. I'm gonna kick myself later on. It's like a packet priority, but it has the ability to do kind of a packet priority for gaming, and that can be causing the issue, or it can be some type of a firmware version issue on the router. And if that's the case, then you may want to go ahead and upgrade the router to the most up-to-date version to see if that resolves your issue as well. That's a good one. That's a good one. Upgrade the router. Basically check and see if there's any updates for the router, and if there is, go ahead and update it and see if that resolves your issue as well. Now, of course, if it's a hub, updating the router isn't going to do anything, but I don't think you have a router from, you know, the 20th century, the 21st century. I'm not going to have people here cussing me out. What you mean the 20th century? There was no routers in the 1900s. Are you stupid? But 21st century. So yeah, that's what I would do in this situation. I'd swap it. I'd swap it to see if it is, and you now have the problem. Then I would go ahead and try to update my router, upgrade my router to whatever the most up-to-date version is for them. So it could just be a router problem. Electric, I doubt it, unless we're talking Ethernet or power, as we already discussed. All right, so got a little bit more time here. We'll do one more, and we'll call it. Okay, this is short too. Okay, help! This is from Timo Tank. I need help with my screen. It is crazy. I haven't done anything, just downloaded Proton VPN, and after trying to delete it, this happened. How do I fix it? It's like small pixels all over the screen. Okay, so he's saying his screen is pixelating after installing Proton VPN. Well, if his screen is pixelating but he can still see it, I would try to uninstall the software and see how that goes. So uninstall Proton VPN is... That's kind of an interesting one. If you connect to a VPN, it doesn't necessarily affect your monitor, unless you may have done something malicious or logged into somebody else and they're controlling your screen. But it shouldn't give you like a pixelated screen. There's no picture of what you're seeing, so it's hard for me to get an idea. But pixelation generally means a graphics issue. It does not necessarily mean a VPN issue. So in this particular situation here, I would go ahead and uninstall Proton VPN if that's the last thing you did. If you have created a timestamp, I would try to roll back to that. Also, reload. See if reloading fixes the issue, because remember, if you reload it, Proton VPN isn't running at that point. So is there a time limit of this happening? For example, when you power it on, is everything perfectly fine? And then, and then Windows is working good, and then as soon as you start Proton VPN, that's when you have the problem? Or does the problem exist while the computer is booting? Because if it exists while the computer is booting, then you don't have a VPN problem. You either have a graphics or a monitor problem. It's totally different. In which case, you would troubleshoot it as if it was a graphics or a monitor problem, which would be, update drivers, things of that nature. Your graphics card may be going out, or your monitor may be having issues with pixels or dead pixels. So it could be one of the three. Okay, and that's how I would troubleshoot this issue. I would uninstall Proton VPN first, and then I would try to reload it and see if the pixelation goes away. If it does not go away and it's happening the entire time, then I may be looking at graphics or monitor. And that's how I would handle that issue, Mr. Tank. And I think that we'll call it here, and I'll try to figure out what's going on with my poor internet. And that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you really like it, go ahead and subscribe. I love you either way. Take care. All the best, and bye. And let me make sure. Okay, I don't like that it doesn't tell me how many packets are actually being sent or have been sent in an hour time frame. I have to multiply the kilobits per second, the amount of... Well, that's actually just kilobits per second. That's actually not... Well, yeah, I guess it is. It's the amount of packets sent per second. So yeah. Yeah, I have to do math in order to figure out how many packets are actually being sent versus how many packets are being dropped. But it's nice enough to tell me that it's only 4%, but it's still kind of iffy. 7,000 packets is a lot, but I'm also sending a lot. So we'll see. I'll work on it for them. I'm so sorry, but hopefully there won't be any kind of drops next time I try this. Alrighty, take care. Bye.